Hello everybody and welcome to In My Mug, episode 142 on Monday the 1st of August 2011. My name is Steve Layton and this week I think we've got something a little bit different for you, so I'm hoping you will like this. So I'm going to go straight into the coffee, and quite a while ago, around about 2003, we came up with this amazing idea of selling coffee online. And a very important part at that time, I think it's still important today, but perhaps not so much, but back then it was very important to have a lineup of blends that kind of ticked all of the boxes. And one of the blends I felt we needed at that time was a kind of breakfasty, high caffeine, unsubtle, in your face, big old kind of blend. Not like a sipping coffee, but a big huge gulper that you would swig back and kind of carry on with. So that blend happened, and we fast forward 8 years to today, and that coffee has remained still an important part, but kind of, I don't know, got forgotten a little bit. It's called Breakfast Bomb. Remains an incredibly popular blend. I mean, like, super popular, but it really hasn't changed over those 8 years. So while Jailbreak kind of evolved from Premium and all those other ones, this one really hasn't. And it's perhaps one of the only ones, apart from the filter blends, which are on my list of things to do, that hasn't changed. So I kind of felt it was time to bring it up into 2011. So the revamp is kind of like keeping the core parts of it, just as we did with Premium when it went to Jailbreak, but dragging it into the 21st century. So what's the idea of it? What's behind Breakfast Bomb? Well, I think the name gives it away a little bit, but it's bold, it's big, it's in your face, it's full of caffeine, it's a wake-up blend, but it's still tasty. It's different to the other blends that we have, and so it should be, but it's really like a pick-me-up. And for years that blend was 80% Sumatra, 20% Robusta. The Robusta changed and evolved over time as different, we found better and Robustas we were more happy with. But the blend didn't, it stayed pretty much the same. And a lot of the reason for not changing it was that it worked. Indos tend to have lots of caffeine in them, be very big and bold. The Robusta was in there to give it a little bit more caffeine zip, because Robusta genetically tends to have more caffeine in it. In general, big broad brush, but and the 20% was so you got those effects, but with a coffee like Sumatra, it hid the tastes of the Robusta. So kind of, why am I changing it? Why are we doing this? Well, for me, it's one I've never felt amazingly comfortable with. It's a sledgehammer without deliciousness. It's unsubtle, and it's a bit kind of like, you know, it's a bomb. And I think it was time to bring some flavour into it. So we changed the blend. The blend now consists 50% of the Sumatra Raja Batak, the best Sumatra I think we've ever found. We've been working with it for 9 months now, and I do think it's the best Sumatra we've ever stocked, without a doubt. It's a dream to blend with. It's amazing. It's big body without the dirt, which is great. But we've dropped it 30% because I wanted to introduce some flavour into there. So I've introduced the Ethiopian Chikizu Natural, one of the special finds so far of this year. Been getting lots of love in internet land from people who've been having it, and I promise that that's going to be in My Mug really soon. But that was in there to give it some flavour, to give it some more complexity, but to remain that big, bold, overt cup. And then we're using 20% Indian Cape Royale Robusta, which we went to a huge amount of trouble to find. It is one of the best Robustas I think we've ever found. It's grown at 2,100 metres above sea level, hand-picked, pulp naturaled, carefully processed, beautiful looking green, and you know, it's a really good Robusta. Is it delicious on its own? No, it's really not. But what it does bring, it brings that caffeine kick, but because it's not super dirty as lots of the Robustas can be, you just don't taste it with those two big competing flavours going on. That rubbery Robusta taste that you will get has disappeared. And I'm really happy that we pay more for this Robusta than a lot of roasters would pay for their Brazils. In Robusta terms, it's super expensive, but I think it's really worth it for this blend because it is well processed, it doesn't taste dirty. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear the feedback on this blend. It's a bit dangerous to put out there because it's not cool and trendy to have a Robusta style blend, but I look forward to hearing your taste, your thoughts on the taste. It's kind of a new take on an old classic. If you're a Green Bean subscriber, this week you will receive 2 bags. We don't sell this blend in green because it doesn't pre-blend very well. The Robusta you will need to roast separately. We give you 250 grams of the Robusta, 250 grams of the Ethiopian Sumatra mix. Roast them both separately, then post-blend them, adding 50 grams of that Robusta to the Sumatra Ethiopian mix. The other 200 grams, maybe try it once and then compost the rest because it's not going to be tasty. But it's another interesting opportunity for green subscribers to try something that not everybody else does. So yeah, give that a whirl. What else? Oh, yes, actually, yes. So, I said last week about the QR codes going on hold. They're back in a temporary guise. They're going to be changing again and improved next week, but I saw an opportunity to pop it on there. So the QR code is back on the In My Mug subscriber packs, as is the new lovely label that we've had done, which I really hope that you like that label. And to go with our blend launches, we like to make swanky new videos. So while I whap you on pause and go and make some lovely coffee, I'm going to entertain you with Breakfast Bomb, the movie. Okay, so I'm back. I'm going to dive straight into the espresso just before it cools a little. Okay, espresso. It's huge. I mean, it is massive. In fact, on the descriptors for this coffee, we have overtly big, huge mouthfeel, leery and full of caffeine. It is huge. It's massive in the mouth. It's chewy. It's a big espresso. It ain't subtle, nor is it meant to be. So let's not get upset that it isn't what it isn't going to be. It is a big, bold, overt, massive cup. So that's the espresso. I'm going to show you a picture of the roast colour now. You will see from the roast colour, this is as dark as has been goes. This is as dark as we ever go. In fact, yeah, this is it. That's the top of the range for us. This is dark in the Has Been book. For lots of roasters, that's not dark. We had some coffees recently from some friends outside of the UK who sent us some coffee, and Jesus, that's really dark. This is as dark as we go. Snozzer in the bowl time. In fact, I need to just top this up before I move on because I need that to be ready in a moment. It's big. This is exactly what it is. It's a big cup. You can smell. It's, you know, the descriptors for this are kind of all of your natural descriptors of, you know, big body, smells a little bit dark fruity, kind of dried fruity. There's a lot going on. Into the milk. Again, coffee. Before I move on, actually, talking about the roast colour, just before I move on from that, I forgot, kind of, it's a little bit counterintuitive to roast darker and it be a high caffeine blend, because the more you roast the coffee, the more caffeine gets kind of stripped away from what's there. But caffeine, and also it being a pick-me-up, I think happens on 2 levels. It's about your taste buds being picked up and your taste buds being made alive, so you feel more alive. It's not just the physical kind of effects of caffeine, and in fact, I wonder how much more caffeine is in this than is in you know, some of the other coffees, for instance, like the Sumatra on its own. I don't think there's a massive amount of difference. What is the difference is there is a combination of flavours with that Shikizu, with that Rajabhatak and that little bit of Robusta to really give it a big kind of, you know, a wake up in the mouth. So it cuts through milk really, really well. And I've actually, like the past few weeks I've been saying my milk's been awful. My milk bangs onto that. That's bang on. That's a really good texture. But it really works well in that milk. You get the coffee flavours come through, you get that little bit of dried fruit again coming through, you get that big mouthfeel still, you get all the things that you get in this, but you just added a bit of milk to it. So it takes a tiny edge off it, it adds a little bit of milk sweetness if you like. So time to move to the brewed version of this coffee. This week's message says boom. I can't think of anything else to write. So again, I'm not expecting any subtleties here, I'm expecting it to be in my face. And I get exactly that. I get the Sumatra Rajabhatak on the front end. That's the predominant flavour in here. You get a little shoulder of Shikizu, and you can taste that. That's the fruit. That's the kind of the natural funk coming through. You don't really get any of the Robusta, and that's because this is a very clean Robusta. You know, it is. I can't stress this enough. Kind of what a good quality Robusta we managed to find here. We have a few bags of it, and I'm kind of really worried when it runs out what we do next, because this has been a great find. So yeah, so let's put these in some kind of order. I actually prefer the cappuccino. I think that's probably my favourite, followed by the brewed and then followed by the espresso. Just because it isn't subtle, and I have a palate that prefers those sweeter, more balanced kind of rounded coffees. This blend is not made for me, it's made for people who want this, and it may be that it's not your bag, but it really fills a spot where people want. You're giving them great quality coffee, but it's also achieving their aim of what they want in the cup. So, they're my three. Three things about this coffee you should know. Well, it's a blend. It is 30% Ethiopian Shikizu, 50% Sumatra Rajabhatak, 20% Indian Cape Royale Port Natural Robusta. That's two things. And three things, it is overtly big, huge mouthfeel, leery and full of caffeine. And I'm really, really proud of this label. I think Lawrence did a great job in doing that label for us. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. Right, I think that's me done. In fact, to finish up on, I'm going to show you, when we first started in 2003, we got approached very early on by a college student who was doing a project for an advertising firm. And I'm either going to pop a link at the end, or I'm actually going to be able to show you the video, because I don't know whether I have a copy of it. But they did a breakfast bomb video. We had no input on it at all, and I didn't really like the end credits, but I really liked the start bit. So I guess this is the first ever blend video that we didn't do but was done for us. So yeah, I'm going to leave you with that, and do remember, life is too short for bad coffee.